In the quiet village of Umudim, surrounded by rustling palm trees and red earth roads, lived a woman whose name rang with respect, Mama Ijeoma. Known by all, respected by many, feared by some. She was a grandmother, but she aged like fine wine. People say she took portions to make her never get old. Some say that she bathes in herbs passed down from her grandmother, a mix of nchawu, uziza leaves, and raw shea butter that has kept her looking like a woman half her age, and some whispers that she belongs to a great cult, and she renews herself with people's blood. She dresses in classic African elegance, flowing wrappers and fitted lace blouses. Her wrists and neck are adorned with coral beads, and she wears a subtle local perfume that smells of frankincense, sandalwood, and hibiscus. To outsiders, she is the respected widow, the pillar of tradition, the wise elder. She raised her only granddaughter, Chizara, with love strong enough to move mountains. Chizara was only 8 when her world shattered in one phone call. Her parents, both were traders, had died in a fiery accident on the expressway. The car burned beyond recognition, and the news rippled through the village like wildfire. Mama Ijeoma, despite her sorrow, did what only a true African mother would. She stood up, tied her wrapper tighter, and raised the child as her own. Years later, Chizara had blossomed into a radiant young woman, tall and elegant, with ebony skin that glowed in the sun and eyes that spoke volumes. She was the pride of the village. A final year university student studying mass communication, she was known for her simplicity, intelligence, and charm. Smart, poised, humble, and as beautiful as the rising sun. People say she is a grandmother, replica, soft-spoken, strikingly beautiful. After her exams for the semester, she comes back home to spend time with her grandmother. But this semester, she didn't come home alone. The sun had just begun to bow its head when a car pulled up before Mama Ijeoma's house. The air smelled of ripe mangoes and old rain. From the passenger side stepped Chizara, glowing in a simple dress. And from the driver's side came a young man, handsome, confident, and full of smiles. His name was Ejike. Ejike wasn't from Umudim. He was from a neighboring town, a transfer student who joined Zara's university halfway through her 3rd year. Tall, with smooth brown skin and a disarming smile, he carried himself with an effortless confidence that made people notice him. And he was the kind of young man who laughed easily, dressed neatly in crisp shirts, and always seemed to have the right words at the right time. Zara first noticed him in the university library. She had been struggling to carry a stack of mass communication textbooks when one slipped and fell to the ground. Ejike was a stranger who bent quickly, picked it up, and handed it back with that warm, lingering smile. From there, their paths crossed often, at lectures, group projects, and even at the cafeteria. Ejike was charming, attentive, and intelligent, with a way of making Zara feel like the only person in the room when he spoke to her. Soon he became her friend, and later, a quiet companion. So when the semester ended and Chizara decided to travel home to see her grandmother, she thought it natural, even comforting, to invite Ejike along. They walked up to her and her eyes met Chizara's first love as she looked at the young man beside her. She paused just for a second, then smiled warmly. "Welcome, my son. You're welcome." Ejike greeted her respectfully, even kneeling slightly in traditional honor. "Mama, thank you. It's an honor." But something about him made Mama Ijeoma's stomach twist. It wasn't his words or actions. It was something behind his eyes. A shadow, a silence, a fake smile. Later that night, they sat. They laughed. They ate. Mama Ijeoma kept stealing glances at him. At midnight, Mama Ijeoma had a strange dream. She was in a thick forest. A tree stood at the center, dripping with blood. She saw a girl crying, tied to the tree. In the forest, a circle of men, a black crow, then later saw a figure, half man, half beast, standing in the thick forest. When she looked closer, it was Ejike, but his eyes were hollow, his skin covered in strange tribal symbols. The ground cracked beneath him, and from the depths, voices whispered, "He hides behind charm. He carries many faces." She woke up drenched in sweat. She rushed to draw, pulled out a small white calabash from her chest box, and scattered ash around the corners of the room. A test, a sign. At dawn, the ash at the doorstep had shifted. There were 2 human footprints, and 1 set of clawed ones. She was deeply disturbed. Mama Ijeoma went to the next village to visit an old friend, Nna Obinka, a diviner. She narrated the dream and her unease. Near Obi Inka, after casting his curries, he spoke, "Your spirit is not wrong. That boy is hiding something. He is from a family with a name that was wiped out. A curse still follows him." He wouldn't say more, but he gave Mama Ijeoma a white chalk and red string. "Tie this at your doorway. If he walks through and it breaks, he carries a secret not meant for light." That evening, Ejike stepped out to make a phone call. Mama Ijeoma quickly tied the red string across the small wooden threshold, barely noticeable. When Ejike returned and stepped across the doorway, the string snapped. Not bent, not stretched. It snapped like it had touched fire. Mama Ijeoma's heart pounded. So the next morning, Ejike informed them that he was leaving. "Mama, Zara, I'm so sorry, but something just came up. An emergency in town. My uncle is ill. I need to go today." He barely looked them in the eye. Mama Ijeoma, staring hard, replied, "Today?" Ejike, nodding quickly. Yes. I'll return once it's settled. Just a few days, I promise." He grabbed his small bag hurriedly. Zara offered to follow him partway to the road, but he insisted she stay. "I'll be fine. Just stay with Mama. I'll call." He left, but not before glancing back at Mama Ijeoma. A flicker of something darker flashed across his eyes. It wasn't fear. It was calculating. Mama Ijeoma sat still, her hand slowly reaching for the white chalk in her wrapper. A spirit stirred Mama Ijeoma, whispering, "He knows, and now he's hiding." In the days that followed Ejike's departure, the village of Umudim carried on, unaware that something ancient had stirred, but Mama Ijeoma knew. That night, Mama Ijeoma made her granddaughter drink a cup of Ogu Izu, a protection potion passed down through her grandmother's line, bitter, pungent, black as night. Meanwhile, far from Umudim, Ejike stood before a stone idol, ancient and cracked with age, surrounded by dying candles and bones buried half in ash. He was no longer smiling. His shirt was gone. His chest bore the same tribal symbols from Mama Ijeoma's dream. His hands trembled as he erased a black feather dipped in red oil. A voice, neither male nor female, echoed from the idol. "You returned early. The girl is not yet broken." Ejike bowed. Ejike, trembling. "She is stronger than I thought. Her bloodline, her grandmother. She sees things." The idol cracked slightly, smoke rising from its mouth. "Then she must be removed. Both of them." The voice echoed in Umudim. Chizara, trying to clear her mind, walked to the stream. The air was cool, the water cold against her toes. But as she knelt to fill her gallon, a reflection blinked at her. Startled, she dropped the gallon. The reflection smiled, and behind her in the real world, someone stepped from the trees. It was Chika, the village madwoman, hair like untamed bushes, teeth yellowed with time, but eyes that held stories. Chika, whispering, "They think I'm mad, but I see things. I see you." Zara, frightened but curious, took one step back. She replied, "What do you mean?" Chika shuffled closer. She held up a broken mirror shard wrapped in raffia. "You are marked, not by your choice. A shadow walks behind you," Chika said. Then she dropped the shard and ran into the bush. Zara bent to pick it up, and for a second she saw herself in the glass. But this time, it wasn't her face. It was Ejike's, half man, half beast. Zara screamed and dropped the glass. Then she took off. That evening, Zara returned pale and trembling. Mama Ijeoma was waiting. She placed kola nut on a wooden tray, poured dried gin on the floor, and lit 7 candles. Then she spoke to the ancestors. Her voice rose with power, strength, and pain. My bloodline shall not be swallowed. My granddaughter shall not be taken. Spirits of my mother's mother, rise with me tonight, she said. Suddenly, all candles blew out at once. Zara gasped, clutching her chest. Mama Ijeoma remained still. Her eyes narrowed, her lips trembled with a prayer, trapped between rage and fear. Mama Ijeoma stood and turned to Chizara. Who is Ejike? Where does he come from? Her voice calm but deep, like thunder rolling over hills. There is something dark and strange about him. From now you do not sleep alone. You do not walk alone. You do not drink water that I did not bless myself. Do you understand me? Chizara nodded, tears forming, but the battle had already begun. That night, Mama Ijeoma unlocked the door Zara had never seen, hidden behind the faded curtain in the back of the house. The air inside was thick with age. Shelves of bones, feathers, cowries, and dried herbs lined the walls. A huge mirror stood in the center, veiled in black cloth. Zara, whispering, Mama, what is this place? This is the place where names are remembered and stories are buried. Sit. She said. Mama Ijeoma sat across from her and began to braid Zara's hair. But each braid was knotted with a different herb. As she braided, she sang, a song Zara had never heard before, a song in a language older than Igbo. As she sang, Zara went into a trance. The moon was full and golden, watching over a sacred grove deep in the belly of Umudim. 7 figures in white wrappers stood in a perfect circle. Their heads were wrapped, their feet bare. A fireball burned in the center, its flames blue and high. Among them stood a younger Mama Ijeoma. She was initiated by her grandmother, the high priestess. She stood in regal, radiant in white, holding a gourd inscribed with sacred Insi beady symbols. The high priestess, known only as Ne Ejike, the mother of truth. Kneeling before them were a man and woman, faces streaked with tears and red camwood. The woman's voice broke as she spoke. We have been married for 12 years. No child. We have gone to every healer. They say my womb is fine. They say my husband's seed is strong. Still, nothing. We beg you, help us, even if it is one. Just one. The wind whistled through the trees. Mama Ijeoma stepped forward. She looked into the woman's eyes swollen with hope and sorrow, and then nodded to Ne Ejike. Ne Ejike spoke. If your hearts are clean and your hands are not dipped in shadow, then your wish shall be granted. But hear this, in the realm according to destiny, your son won't live longer than 2 decades. It can't be changed. We don't interfere with the balance of nature. You will conceive, yes, but remember, what we give is tied to light and faith. You must not bind what is born to the ways of darkness. The couple nodded fiercely, bowing so low their foreheads touched the soil. Then the ritual began. 9 moons later, lightning danced across the sky. The woman screamed as the child came, then a single howl of wind. The child, a boy, opened his eyes and finally cried. He was wrapped in white cloth embroidered with sacred white thread and handed to his mother. She wept, clutching him as though she might disappear if she let go. They named him Chibueze. God is the king. Mama Ijeoma watched from a distance. A small smile graced her lips, but her eyes, they lingered too long on the child. A decade later, a smoky hut, candles shaped like skulls, a different circle, the same couple, but now kneeling before a dark priest with skin painted black and white and eyes like dried cow blood. He was known as Ogbunka, a priest of the forbidden forest. Man, whispering. They say the group that gave us this child, they bind all things to light. We want more. We want him protected from both spirit and man. Ogbunka, grinning. To bind the child in fire, is to give him many faces. But there is a price. Woman replied, we will pay it. A ritual was done. A crow was slaughtered. Its blood was mixed with the child's footprints in ash. Then the child was smeared with strange oil. The dark priest whispered, from this day forward, he shall walk in both light and shadow. No one shall see his true face, unless his soul is split. Mama Ijeoma stood before Ejike, eyes filled with horror. They've bound him to another cult, one of the forbidden ones, said Mama Ijeoma. Then the child is no longer ours. He walks a path we do not protect. He bears the mark of evil. One day he will return, and that return will bring fire. And Ejike replied a decision was made to stop the child before he became too powerful. But they were too late. The couple had vanished. Finally, Mama Ijeoma and her group found the family in a hidden settlement on the edge of the sacred forest. But as they approached, they heard cracking sound. They pushed the door open and they found the couple laying down in the pool of their own blood, the house on fire. They searched around but couldn't find the child. A cleansing was ordered. The cult symbols destroyed. The house was burned to the ground. The family was thought to have perished. But as the flames roared, a small boy watched through the slats of a goat shed, his face covered in soot. Silent, unmoving. Young Chibueze, muttering, in front of an evil and powerful deity in the forbidden forest. Light gave me breath, but darkness gave me power. The light took my family away from me. The evil deity spoke, bring me the blood of one of the descendants of light, then you will become unstoppable. Chibueze lived. Zara's eyes glazed over. Her vision blurred. She saw flashes. She gasped awake. Zara spoke softly. His name is not Ejike. His real name is Chibueze. Mama Ijeoma's hands froze. The next day, as the village prepared for the new yam festival, Chizara went to fetch water, watched closely by Mama Ijeoma. But suddenly, Chika, the mad woman, appeared again. This time, she wasn't alone. She held a gourd with smoke swelling out of it. She whispered, you must go to the sacred grove before the moon bleeds. Chizara blinked. The moon bleeds? Yes. Tonight it shall rise red. If you are not in the grove before it peaks, he will call your name thrice, and the third time it will not be your voice that answers. She spoke. Later that evening, Chizara and Mama Ijeoma arrived at the sacred grove. Mama Ijeoma drew a circle of salt and kola nut. She placed Chizara at its center. Mama Ijeoma, chanting, O spirits of the red earth, shield this child from dark forces. Suddenly, Ejike appeared. His skin glowed with tribal symbols, his eyes black as pitch. He stepped into the clearing, confident. Ejike, smiling darkly. I only needed her to step outside the circle once, just once. And with a flick of his hand, the ground split open. Mama Ijeoma, screaming, Zara, stay in the circle. But Chizara had already taken one step out. The wind roared, the moon turned crimson. And then, Mama Ijeoma raised her hand. Ejike screamed as fire circled him. Chizara fainted, and Mama Ijeoma collapsed to her knees out of exhaustion. Still whispering incantations, Chizara lay unconscious in the circle of kola and salt. Mama Ijeoma trembled as she tries to stand to her feet. Ejike, now fully transformed, stepped through the shadows, symbols burning across his skin, the spirits of his bloodline howling behind him. Suddenly, the circle of salt glowed gold. Zara gasped back to life, but her eyes were no longer hers. They shone silver, like moonlit metal. She rose, slowly, calmly. A strange and calm voice spoke through her. I am she who remembers. I am the river that swallowed secrets. Mama Ijeoma fell to her knees. She has awakened. Zara was now channeling Ne Ejike, the mother of truth herself, speaking through her blood. Ejike hissed and lunged forward, flinging ash and fire with his hands. But it hit the barrier, the golden ring, and was swallowed. Ne Ejike, through Zara, her voice echoed. You were given as a gift. You chose to become a weapon. She raised her hand, and the ground beneath Ejike split again. But this time it wasn't spirits that rose. It was Ejike's mother and father, ghostly, burned, eyes hollow. Father's ghost weeping. We tried to protect you. That's why we sacrificed ourselves for you. But our greed made you a doorway. Mother's ghost, reaching for him. Come home, my son. Ejike screamed. He turned to flee into the woods. But Mama Ijeoma stepped forward, drawing a small gourd from her wrapper. She smashed the gourd to the ground. A blinding white flame erupted and wrapped around Ejike like a storm. He fell to his knees, and from his mouth, a black mist screamed out, the final spirit of the forbidden line, clawing at the sky as it burned. Ejike cried out, "I didn't ask to be born." With a final breath, Ejike collapsed. The symbols on his skin vanished, and then silence. The next morning, the people of Umudim awoke to an unusual calm. Chizara sat under the udala tree, still quiet, her memories fragmented. She turned to her grandmother. "Was that really me?" Mama Ijeoma nodding slowly. "It was all of you, and all those who came before." That evening, Mama Ijeoma led Chizara back to the sacred grove. Together they buried the last remnant of Ejike. And that another page from the story library, your portal to endless stories. If you enjoyed this chilling tale, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.